Welcome to Commerce Talks, episode number 56. Today my guest is Constanze Freienstein, Managing Director Europe for Lands' End, a very big brand with $1.7 billion in revenue. An e-commerce first brand, I would say, which is surprising because the roots of Lands' End are clearly brick and mortar. And I've analyzed this brand already in the podcast together with Florian Heinemann, and we actually found very interesting stuff about Lands' End, about the distribution strategy, and about how to transform a traditional brand into an e-commerce first brand. Constanze adds very interesting new learnings about this journey, and I guess many other brands that are struggling right now to get rid of their brick and mortar channels can learn from the Lands' End story. Okay, let's hear what Constanze has to say about the Lands' End story. Constanze, welcome to the Commerce Talks podcast and maybe the Kassenzone podcast that we will discuss later on. Today we are talking about Lands' End, which we covered already in our monthly Heinemann podcast, and I just received the transcription of this podcast, and I must say maybe I've described the assortment from Lands' End in the not so glamorous perspective, but now we can change this view. So welcome. Maybe tell us a little bit about you, and then Lands' End, and then we'll deep dive into the business of Lands' End.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you very much for having me and inviting me to e-commerce talks. My pleasure. Just a bit on myself. I'm the Managing Director for Lands' End Europe, and leading our company into e-commerce digital growth in our region. Held several customer officer and CMO positions prior to my role as Managing Director with Lands' End Europe, and started my career in marketing.
And I'm pretty sure you would describe Lands' End a little bit different than we described it in the monthly Heinemann. So if you can describe it, and then we will definitely go into the sales channels and assortment. How do you do for people that don't know Lands' End or never touched a catalog from Lands' End, for example?
Certainly. So Lands' End is an e-commerce company. Our company has been founded by Gary Comer in 1963. It's an American heritage brand. Its origins are in sailing and yachting, which was a passion of Gary's. And Gary set up his shop on hardware and equipment, and then soon transitioned into apparel and fashion, as that was one of the fast-selling assortments. In fact, something that not many people might remember is that Lands' End was actually one of the first companies to launch a web shop early in the 90s. So we have a deep-rooted DNA in being an e-commerce company, and right now preparing for further digital growth and setting our growth agenda for upcoming years.
Yeah, when I told my wife that I'm recording a podcast with you with Lands' End Managing Director, she said, "Yeah, Lands' End, I know this brand. It's cool. My mom has a lot of stuff from Lands' End, so obviously it's a well-established brand where the pitch is about we are getting you comfy or something like this."
Well done, Alex. It's actually let's get comfy.
Let's get comfy. But it was something with comfy, and the business was catching my eye during the monthly Heinemann podcast because you reported your quarterly figures, and this was one of the very few verticalized fashion companies that did very well during Corona. And then I wondered, how can that be? And it's a particularly old business, and also you've been starting with e-commerce rather early. So it was a business pretty much focused on the brick and mortar channel as an integrated part of Sears. Also, there were many shop-in-shop concepts as Sears. And maybe you can give here some historical background where when it was acquired by Sears, what happened then, and why you are describing yourself now as an e-commerce company, because that is rather unusual for the Lands' End brand, I would say.
Yeah, there's certainly a stage when the company worked in partnership, was owned actually by Sears, and that did open and was one of the reasons for the acquisition, I assume, to also leverage brick and mortar space to present the brand. This ended in 2013, and since then the company has reshaped the strategy and growth agenda. And I fast forward to 2017 because 2013 is long ago. 2017, our current CEO, Jerome, came on board. And with Jerome, we defined our strategy based on 5 pillars. And that has led us from strength to strength, has helped us to solidify our position as leading e-commerce player. Strategy being based on product, of course, on digitalization, on unichannel strategy, as well as investment in process and systems, and being a great place to work, which is very, very important as well. So that has pretty much set us on a very strong growth trajectory. And this is what then resulted in what you've read, our financial year 2020 and the Q1 results. And just recently, we've also raised our expectations for Q2. So we are continuing to perform really well. And that is mainly driven by e-commerce business, which is more than 95% of what Lands' End does.
Can you describe the transition from being a brick and mortar shop concept to an e-commerce business a bit more in detail? Because my understanding was that Lands' End had flagship stores, so where only Lands' End was sold. Then it was then Sears was a very important part until then 2014, until the company then parted way with Sears. But I would expect that the majority of the customers was pretty much used to the brick and mortar channel. So it's not a super hip product. So it's something you need on an everyday basis, and people were used to buy it in brick and mortar channels. So how did this kind of transformation happen then from 2014 to until today? And there's like new partners and new brick and mortar channels coming up. We will talk about that later, but especially the first. But it must have been very hard actually to lose so many point of sales.
Yes, certainly. But I think the strong focus on establishing and growing the company as a digital company was what led us through that transitional phase.
But what does it mean? So focusing on the digital company, so that can be everything. So and there's many managing director of still failing verticalized fashion brands here, trying to understand, okay, how can I get rid of my physical point of sales? It's not working. It's too expensive, especially during Corona. That was proven. So what exactly have you done to lure so many customers in your digital channels? Was it, I don't know, a big marketing campaign in 2014 and 15 focusing on Google Ads and Facebook, or was it done over time by different strategies? That's a very interesting question here.
Yeah, you don't transition out of brick and mortar in months. So that was a transition process. However, over that period of time, I want to say what was driving the success and establishment of an e-commerce company was certainly vision, passion for the channel, understanding the potential and the power and the future of that channel, and then as a next step, setting up the infrastructure, platform, product, adapting processes, investing in systems, bringing in the right capabilities. And if you look into the change in the senior leadership team and then translated, into the organization, this is what happened in the company with the right, minds, the right capabilities, the right, passion and vision, transforming that company into a e-commerce company, thinking and living and executing processes and having the systems in place to fully leverage that potential.
When you're looking onto your org chart today, how many people are responsible for the user experience in digital channels from the whole org chart?
Aren't we all kind of working to deliver a good user experience.
That's a very good answer, but not the one I was looking for.
Yeah, I understand. So our teams in our e-commerce department, our customer facing channel certainly is one of our largest teams, and this is also where a lot of our investment goes. But as you can imagine, we are a fashion brand. So we also have teams working on design, on merchandising, on buying. And as we have to deliver, we have sourcing, with planning as well, with marketing. But certainly in our organization, e-commerce has a prominent position, and particularly our UX, but also our CX teams are the teams that we're investing in most.
And within the digital channels, so I saw on your website that I think, like, from a pure technology stack, you're pretty much focused on the on the Salesforce suite. So you're just this is pretty much outsourced, like the experience side for commerce. Is there any native things you have developed, like the CRM system? Because I imagine the way how you reach out to your customers via personalized emails, maybe even call centers could make a difference. So is there something where you say, okay, that is something where Lands' End in this category is really leading, so that makes a difference why we are closer to the customer than maybe other companies that are also selling comfy stuff?
Yeah, I guess we're not trying to compete with Oracle and Salesforce. I think that, would not be our, strong suit. However, what we do is we fully leverage the possibilities and opportunities that are provided by, for example, Salesforce, our Demandware platform. We're using partners, Dynamic Yield, to enable our customer journey. And I do want to say that we have a state-of-the-art leading customer journey that we're continuously further enriching, enhancing for our customer journey. And then the company is ultimately customer focused, and we always strive to deliver a better customer journey every day. We are looking at an advanced situational personalized recommendation flows throughout the customer journey. We are trying to almost replicate that enriched, brick and mortar experience if you browse a shop. Sometimes it can be a little technical when you're on your PMP or your PDP. So we try to enrich and enhance this as much as possible to generate a good, satisfying and deep experience with our customer. We even try to bring to the attention things that are intuitive, that the customer will like at this next step, mix and match, which is enabled by our wonderful whole house prints. And we do know that customers buy into whole house print when they love one item in their particular pattern. So I want to say leveraging what we can get from our partners and then further developing it and creating that unique state-of-the-art, customer journey is what our teams do so well.
And looking back on 2014, have you been an international brand already in 2014? Was it a known brand in Europe, Germany, UK, for example?
In fact, it was. We are celebrating 25 years in Germany today, and we have celebrated 25 years in the UK. So we have been around for quite a while, both on mainland Europe as well as in the UK. The introduction of the brand to the market was quite spectacular, as we came in with a until then unknown service statement, which we keep up until today, which is customer service no matter what. You can return no matter what. And we do stand by this, although it is no longer our main claim. That is still the service we guarantee.
And how important are the online channels in Europe? Or is there? Or I can turn the question around. Is there any important brick and mortar channel in a shop-in-shop environment, like in Pick and Kloppenburg, for example, or are there flagship stores, for example?
We are exclusively e-commerce digital in Europe. And that is also our midterm growth strategy. We will further and fully leverage our e-commerce and digital capabilities. I should add, though, we do have 2 shops, and they're associated with our headquarters in Europe and our headquarters in the UK.
But before, like, let's say 2010, what was then the main channel? Was it then mail order? So I try to understand how my mother-in-law, if it's only online only, then it would be very hard for her to shop there because she has not.
So when we entered the market, this was in a dual approach, catalog and web. Online shop. However, and while we still have, some very loyal customers, and appreciate your mother-in-law might be a very loyal customer of ours for years, for decades, we have still some very loyal customers coming in via our customer care center, and we are very, very happy to assist. However, by far majority of our business is online. And we have seen another shift during COVID in the past 18 months, where a lot of our loyal customers that used to call in now also are more comfortable to use our online services.
There's no catalog anymore available?
Absolutely. There is a catalog, and there will always be a catalog. However, that catalog right now is a marketing means, and that drives a lot of online traffic. Very valuable online traffic.
That must explain how she knows about the brand. Okay, let's talk about like customer acquisition, because you already shared that the numbers are growing, especially growing online. That's not the case for all e-commerce businesses. You might have seen the numbers from eBay yesterday evening, disastrous numbers. So even the old dinosaurs might have some hard times now. But you are managing it obviously well. So when I saw the quarterly statement, if I remember correctly, we're talking 20% plus growth quarter over quarter.
That's right.
Which is quite something. You're at $1.2 billion in total revenue, so more or less. So, but the dimensions are right. I
think we are looking at closing at 1.7.
What, 1.7? Yeah, I will blame Florian Heinemann for that wrong number. I think it was in the transcript. Okay, but 1.7. And you're focusing online. So, and that leads me to the next classic question of Kassenzone and commerce talk. So, where do you get your customer? Where do you find your customers in these days?
Yeah. So, indeed, our customer file, and particularly our buyer file, has been growing tremendously last year, and it is continuing to grow strongly. Last quarter saw 27% growth, and we're continuing on that same trend. Buying customers and buying file, I have to say, is based on actually 2 legs. One is new customers, and I come to your question and answer your question on new customers. But let me also point out active customers. Those customers who have been buying before are engaging so much more often right now. And that's wonderful to see. And this is down to adoption of online shopping, of online channels, mobile. Adoption of mobile, certainly a device where you're more comfortable to check in more often, but also our broadened reach and our broadened marketing portfolio, where we're dipping into many more relevant, particularly digital marketing channels right now, and are seeking to extend that further, also with the help of partners that we might bring on later in the year. But let's speak a little about new customers. So in addition to those active customers, new customers are very Tyson, we did speak a little about, is that a trendy brand? And I do believe Lands' End is a trendy brand in the sense of being trendy, meaning people being interested in engaging on a topic. And they certainly engage on the topic of being comfortable, particularly in these continued unprecedented times. I think they're still seeking for that comfort, for that level of security. And that comes in clothing. And when we say, let's get comfy, we certainly do mean wearing our fashion is comfortable. Absolutely. No compromise. However, it goes far beyond just that wearing comfort. It goes into providing that, well-rounded, 360 sustainability approach that starts with one closet, where one item in our collection can be so much more than just a swim top, for example. We have that versatile swimwear range. We do make sure that our items can be dressed up and dressed down, just depending on the need. So there is the need to invest in less items, and that takes me to quality, which is uncompromised in the business. And quality is first, always. That is part of delivering service for our customer. It's about fit, getting the fit right. That customer can feel comfortable. And that's in the whole context of, one of our strategic assortment pillars, which is we fit everybody. And we truly mean it. No matter what body shape, how you feel, we fit everybody, and we make sure that everyone can feel comfortable in their beautiful bodies.
Okay, but let's get a little bit more specific about the channel question. So we are asking the question because many followers of this podcast were educated by Google Ads, and then the question is always, okay, how much money would you have spent, like, for a new customer on Google Ads or Facebook ads or LinkedIn ads? And we all know that those channels became much more expensive over the last year because of the money printing issue, where a lot of money lands actually at Facebook and the Google Ad managing system. So are these channels for you that are important, or would you rather go for a Super Bowl ad, for example, presenting your new fashion line?
Performance marketing is first for us as an e-commerce company. And I think it wouldn't be credible if I said those channels weren't important for us. Of course they are. And they are a key part in our marketing strategy. What I can say, though, is that we managed to operate at very effective ad ratios, particularly last year, but we continue with the mix we have, continue to operate at decent ad ratio. So we can make that still a very profitable new customer driving activity. We are present on social, however, not as deep. And we go very, very targeted on social. And we complement those channels that can easily become very, very expensive if you need to ramp them up, particularly beyond a certain level. We complement with partner marketing. We have very strong partners through which we have generated a high amount of new customers. That's more engaging partner programs, reward programs where we're participating. We're looking at bringing on a new partner for Europe in that context. We seek partnerships with other retailers that are, in different areas, but have a very similar customer base. So there's a win-win situation, leveraging both customer bases. I think operating a wide portfolio and seeking opportunities and not necessarily being mono-channel in marketing is essential, because we can always pull back. If, ad ratios become unfavorable for us, we pull into different channels. And I think that's part of the success we had to consistently deliver high numbers in our NCAs.
And I just clicked on your Instagram channel and I saw that the second post is Oprah Winfrey. And I first said, okay, that must be an expensive influencer corporation, but she's just wearing your sweater. She is. You're tagging her that she's wearing it.
I know. And that's a wonderful collection. That's actually our Founder Stripe collection. This was the whole collection, the Founder Stripe collection started when we were thinking about 25 years in Germany and how we would celebrate it. And it started as a Founder Stripe collection, a collection that really went back to the roots of the company, and the stripes represent the maritime theme, the stripes on the old yacht of Gary Comer. Lovely collection, very contemporary, across all, categories, and yet to launch in Germany.
What is the price for the sweater Oprah is wearing? So just the people get an understanding across the price range you're selling here.
So I think she's wearing a serious sweat. And there would be, I want to say 69 euros.
Okay. So even the billionaire, I think she's a billionaire, but I'm not sure, but I think she is. So even she is shopping on Lens End when she wants to feel comfy.
Which I want to say speaks for the trendiness of the brand.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's the interesting thing here. That's why I was asking you about the channels, because you have a German background, and there's like a lot of like German mid-market brands, like Esprit, S. Oliver, and many more. And they all have a problem actually position itself. It's like mid-market is eventually leading to death, because mid-prices, mid-quality, mid-whatever, there's no differentiation at all. And that's what I tried a little bit to understand. But there's not yet a production promise saying it's all the whole production chain is sustainable. Everything is produced, I don't know, in the US or in Portugal or whatever. It's still, I don't want to say like standard fashion procedures, but you're not like, I don't know, Son of a Tailor t-shirts, only producing where every tiny piece of the t-shirts or sweatshirts can be looked up in a sustainability database. That's not the case yet, right?
So our sustainability agenda, which we released beginning of the year, states full traceability of fabric by 2025, and we are focused on working on this, and we're rather stating, a date that we definitely make and hopefully over deliver. However, we have always been sustainable. Say, for example, in how we source cotton. We have started very early in using less water, no water at all for denim production. That's one of our targets. And we have, particularly here in Europe, switched packaging to being fully recyclable. We have a zero landfill operation in the UK, and we're looking at not just recycling, but also using recycled material in the first place at 90%, 100% right now, and that's going into further discussion soon.
Okay, I got this. How many products are we talking about you're selling today on your online shop?
So it depends on the season, how many product we are selling. And I think we are speaking about roughly, depends, 3,000, 5,000 styles. That's times color. Color can be up to 10 colors, and then sizes.
Okay, and this is fully focused on fashion and fashion accessoires, most likely, but there's nothing left and right from it. So I can't, for example, buy Lands' End furniture, which would be the next logical step, because you obviously want to have comfy furniture if you're like wearing comfy fashion. That would be my take from a product management perspective, but I'm pretty sure you've tried this out already.
It's a wonderful segue. Thank you. So right now we are soft focused. That's fashion. That's accessories. We do have pet accessories as well. We have a strong home business, as in bedding, towel. But in general, it's fashion. However, in the US, we've launched our Lands' End marketplace this year, which does carry furniture, which does carry other assortment as well, including heart. And we are looking at launching Lands' End marketplace next year for Europe, which then will also give us an opportunity to carry broader assortment.
What does it mean, marketplace? So third-party merchants are selling through the landsend.com e-commerce platform?
Correct. We will provide the infrastructure. We will provide the visibility of the product. However, it will be fulfilled by the partner.
And how are the partners onboarding the products? Because when I'm following the trajectory of other fashion platforms in Europe, and you might have seen what Otto did, it was a very manual process for the first year. So they had a very few selected merchants, and those merchants had to upload the CSV files with some storage information, some picture information, but there was no self-serving structure, which was actually a price to pay if you're going with a suite vendor like Salesforce, because then you're not able to migrate to a platform approach. They were not offering it. So how does it work at Lands' End?
Yeah, I'd say I'm in a very lucky position here in Europe, because we have our global center of competence and the US team. So typically spearhead and test for us and implement first. So we will take what works well in the US typically as a fast follower. And in that case, we are a fast follower. The US has successfully launched and we're using an integrator who will facilitate the process for us of uploading the product and integrating with the third parties, the partners.
Okay, but you will find those products on lensend.com, and they might be labeled as sold by, I don't know, Constanze or Alex or whoever the vendor, whatever the vendor is. And there's now a sourcing team particularly focused on picking vendors, trying to align it with the style and quality and product promise from LensEnd, which is the right thing to do from my point of view, because that's what we are talking in many podcasts here. This kind of how to improve from the e-commerce 1.0 model. We're really relying on your product margin, like your production price versus your selling price, getting into a service. Getting into service revenue. So you need to migrate into a platform. And now, as you've described, you're winning more and more customers from quarter to quarter. And that might be a good entry point for other brands that don't have the visibility for their products, but a good fit with your customers. So would you agree on this statement that over time there must be more and more, let's say, third-party service revenue streams that are all starting with a platform approach?
Yes. However, we will always have a focus on our core product. We will always push our own web shop. However, I do think that there will be great win-win-win situations when we bring on the right brands. And as you said, they need to fit our positioning, they need to fit our vision, our ethics, and they need to, target the right customer group that we are able to bring onto our website. But I do agree that we need to move on. We can't just, stick to the web shop. There's so much more opportunity, and further opportunity growing digitally will be growing with what we call third-party marketplaces. That is marketplaces that other retailers operate and we use to sell our product.
Like Zalando, for example.
Where we launched a month ago. Yep.
So I always try to be a little bit careful with the we will always do something, because especially in digital that is something that's not aging well very often. So I hope it works for you. But maybe can we focus a little bit on the marketplace strategy, because I'm fully aligned with you when it comes to having a very good product proposition. Obviously growing with your existing customers, which is done by widening the assortment, growing into new categories, building a platform. So because in the platform economy, that is the ultimate goal. You want to have access to your customers, and then whenever they think about comfy stuff, they should think about the brand LensEnd. Now, if we're thinking about a Zalando, or you could even integrate with Amazon in the US, that is more important for fashion over there, or an ASOS in UK, for example, you're not only the customer there. So they might look, they might be looking for comfy stuff. They might be even searching LensEnd at Amazon today. I will try it out in a second. I don't know what happens, but will be sent to other products. I understand from a pure brand perspective that you want to show up, but you won't get the access to the customers ultimately. You won't be able to send him emails. He will not get the full service treatment by LensEnd, which was the market entry promise, as you said in Germany. So how do you try to manage that dilemma?
Yeah, it certainly is a different way of engaging with the customer, and it is not a top-down way as in a brand campaign telling the customer that LensEnd is the ultimate destination for comfort. However, it's a bottom-up approach, convincing the customer of the brand's unique selling points, the comfort, the versatility, the functionality, the quality. Marketplaces, I think. The world is evolving. And we need to generate reach. The ultimate goal is to make the lovely brand, everything that we have to offer to our customers, broadly available. And I can't really tell the customer where to shop. And there are customers who prefer to shop on Zalando. And there will be customers who prefer to shop on Amazon. And some customers might shop on Otto. And we do want to be there as a brand. We do want to be there as a brand for our customers. We want to meet the customers where they are and then convince with our brand. It is a reach approach. It is also a new customer acquisition approach. It is new customers we reach in new channels.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's wrong or so. It could make sense even in a perspective where you say, okay, let's be there, try to lure them into our brand. Let's not upload our full assortment, only like 100 top sellers, and then for the rest of the stuff they need to go to lensend.com. So let's arbitrate the other platform, which that makes sense. But ultimately, and the good thing is you control your distribution channels. You're direct to consumer. You don't have too many other retailers, from my understanding. So there won't be other retailers compete on price with you on other platforms. I hope that is the case, because if that is the case, then you are, I know this word we can't say in podcasts, but that happened to many other brands, right? They try to sell to Zalando, not to Zalando, but to Amazon, and then all the other retailers where they sold their products in a wholesale style started to compete on price, and then you are lost. And then you're losing the game. If you're looking at Zalando and ASOS as like a platform, okay, that's my way to win new customers. I try to do my job as best as I can. If Amazon is doing it better, so okay, that's it. But the question for me is, so where does it end? So I just typed in Lensend at amazon.de, and then Amazon is showing me sponsored products, not related at all, actually a book. So the Amazon search engine is kind of
there's a place in the UK called Land's End. That's probably a travel guide.
Yeah. No, it's Aubrey's End. Hope for a new life. Also in German. But then the first product is the North Face, then a 3-pack T-shirt, Jack and Jones, then a brand I've never heard about, Chikini. Maybe it's a brand from Asia. So, but as I'm not the brand guy, and you know it, I don't know, Urban Classics. So obviously they don't tell the customer there's no Lens End here. Please go to lensend.com, but try to lure in products where Amazon has a margin with. So, and then coming back to your Zalando statement. So the customer is there. I'm pretty sure if you're looking up Amazon keyword searches, many people will search for Lens End there. So what do you say when the customer account manager from Amazon is calling you and say, Constanze, please come to our platform?
Well, as you can imagine, we have a growth strategy, and that's e-commerce and digital. We have been thinking about Amazon. And in fact, it is on the agenda. However, we are still considering the right approach, because Amazon is non-curated, is not known as a fashion platform. It's everything. So we have to find the right way of trading on Amazon. And we have a good team in the US, and we're in close contact with the US, our Amazon team in the US. They had recently very successful trading on Amazon. So we will take our lead and we will understand what they do well. And then we will define our strategy for Amazon in Europe.
So on Amazon.com, if I type in Lens End, I can find it. And,
yes,
but
you can.
As you're selling to Amazon.com, so Amazon could decide, okay, we just ship one of the containers you're anyway sending to our warehouses in the US to Europe and sell it here. They can do, and they do it with other brands. Are you afraid of that strategy or
no? I mean, if they like to sell our brand, that's great. At one stage, we will take control of what's trading on Amazon. However, we take our time with that. I think we found a good platform with Zalando. There's other platforms that we consider a good fit with our brand, a great platform where lookalikes of those customers who really love our brand and our core customers will likely shop for fashion. And we will definitely not neglect key players in the marketplace field. However, we do have to find the right approach for our brand.
But I guess Amazon is growing, and Amazon, we talked about this in another podcast. So Amazon in the US is known for fashion. There is no Zalando yet in the US. There's Revolve, but way smaller than Zalando, About You, or any comparable company here. So that was a thing we've discussed a lot with the founders of those companies. But let's see how this plays out eventually. So I understand this. So when there is a strategy where you believe you can migrate it into the European Amazon platforms, DE, France, UK, then it's something you go for. Is there any, apart from the product promise, and obviously Comfy is the USP, is there any like special sauce in there? Like About You is always pitching with the influencer strategy. Zalando is playing the size games, or growing so fast, becoming so big. So it's when we could play mouse in the e-commerce decision maker meetings at Land's End. Is there something where we are really proud of it? You say, okay, that is something the others can't copy so fast?
I want to say in every area of the business, there is something that really sets us apart. Start with the customer service. That definitely sets us apart. And I could show you so many wonderful letters, emails, comments from customers that just say thank you for the service. And that's not necessarily because we did something extraordinary. We just made it a worthwhile, lovely moment, engaging. Engaging, by the way, is very, very important for us. And we are looking at that real-time, more intense engagement with the customer through investing in virtual assistant and a seamless experience from that virtual assistant over to that physical engagement with the actual customer care center. So that's from a customer point of view. I do want to say that from an e-commerce UX CX point of view, certainly our customer journey is differentiating. It is state of the art, and we're investing a lot in leveraging AI to inform and lead that journey.
I will look this up. I will buy a Comfy t-shirt after our Comfy sweatshirt after our call here, and see what kind of emails I'm gonna
good. So the email process is something that we have been working intensely on with our US team, just migrated to a new provider. When I look into the assortment and the product team, certainly what sets us apart is where our strategic pillars are. And one strategic pillar, as I mentioned, is we fit everybody. And I do believe that we are outstanding. Our fit, most companies, when it comes to larger sizes, they would just, make it a larger fit of a smaller size. We don't do that. We fit every size individually. We have an extensive, and in fact, the recent marketing campaign is all about the fit. And there's a little content section where we showcase the team and how we do it. So that certainly does set us aside. We also cater for specific needs. Our swim range has a mastectomy swimsuit to just also recognize that, that is something that we would like to feel someone comfortable with as well, going swimming or to the beach. Sustainability certainly is a very, very important topic for us, and we are more comfortable to also go public with where we have that consistent 360 sustainability in our product. And when I think of our marketing, I think the breadth and the agility and how we operate our performance channels is certainly something that has generated in that outstanding customer file growth that we're seeing, and that is carrying the business right now.
Yeah, I see on the size side, I was surprised that when I clicked the drop-down menu at Amazon, but if you're going to your and this menu is very limited on Amazon, so if you're going to landsend.com, and then having here women's polo shirt, you see like regular size, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 size ranges. Then petite, that's like more, I don't know, smaller
women.
Smaller women. Also 4, 5 and then 4 for tall women. That makes like 14 different. That's a lot, actually. That's a lot of like size management. you have to. It's almost personalized sizing. I talked with this a lot with the son of a tailor founder who also was in the Commerce Talks podcast, and they went from full customized products. So I'm wearing a t-shirt from them right now. Also to this sizing model. So it makes more sense for them to offer more sizes because it usually even fits better than fully self-measured customized shirts. Which leaves me to last question, which is the customization of messaging. There's a lot of talks about conversational commerce in the e-commerce circus over the last like half year or so. Is this a channel you've gained some experience with? So are you reaching out to customers via WhatsApp or Telegram, or in the US, Facebook Messenger is the main messaging channel? Is this something that works for you, or where you say, okay, that could be the future of commerce?
We've certainly trialed this. In our customer base, we find that those are channels that do not necessarily give us the best engagement with the customer. So right now we are focusing on different channels to engage. We certainly do send customized communication through all channels that we deploy.
But one-on-one customized, like hyper personalized? Not just hi Constanze and then same newsletter for all people that ordered within the last 4 months.
Yeah, that is almost a philosophical discussion I'd love to have in a next podcast with you. I've been there in a previous job that truly customized one-on-one. And the question is, from an impact point of view, how much does true one-on-one yield in good efficiency and impact for the customer? I think that's something that yet needs to be truly proven. However, a degree of customization to make it relevant, interesting, engaging for the customer is absolutely necessary these days. Otherwise, you won't get the attention of the customer. And this extends into AI facilitated levels of more promotional engagement.
Okay.
Not every customer needs the same message, promotional message to engage. It's very interesting when we tested messaging, how some customer groups seem to respond more to an up to message. Some respond to a flat message. Some respond to a creative message. And that is where we feel customization is, where we can have greatest impact for our customer.
Yeah. So I think that fits well into a statement I've heard 2 or 3 weeks ago, where somebody said, I think it was Rupert Bodmeier, who was a consultant in Germany, who said, okay, you have to think about your online shop as the end of the customer journey, not the not the beginning of the customer journey, which fits into the statement that you have to really think about your messaging via email. Curated discounts are even more important than like curated top seller banners in your online shop category. So I agree. If I receive a discount from I don't know, a brand which I like, which is limited to this brand, I'm way more aware to the discount code than like a general 20% Zalando discount. I highly agree. So we are coming to the end of the podcast. So I'd like to follow up maybe in a later session or a second test session this year to see how your platform strategy works out in the US, and I guess we will see in the future reportings the platform revenue then, and I hope that this will become like a major part. I will definitely try out your customer journey after this podcast here and order some comfy stuff. I still have to figure out if I'm medium, petite or tall, but I will definitely see in your size finder. So thank you for your time, Constanze, and see you next time.
Thank you very much. Great talk, Alex.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please don't forget to rate this podcast in iTunes, SoundCloud, or Spotify. Tell your friends and listen in again for the next episode, where one of our guests will be from Ocado, UK.